You have to take action on this vision. It will not happen for you. You gotta take that risk. I didn't 10x my life by playing it safe. I got uncomfortable. It is up to you to get rid of the relics of the past and start embracing the new. Failure is an opportunity to grow. We don't make it anywhere without failing. Let's go, Kansas. Let's go, Kentucky. Let's go. Is change possible? Yeah, we'll get those applause going. Let's go. The people in the growth mindset believe that change is possible. It's you people. You stood up. You said it. You're with me, right?
So just finished watching Michael's presentation. It's absolutely wonderful. It's actually what I'm working on with my team right now.
And just like you knew what you were talking about, I like listening to people who have been where I am.
Awesome job, dude. I can't wait to see you work again. Proud of the thing you're doing because, man, you crushed. Rising star right here.
Times are changing. We're experiencing it as we are sitting right here today. It's changed over the last 5 years, the last year, and the last 6 months, and it's not changing. And if you're not prepared for the next decade, you're going to be left in the dust. We have to start thinking differently.
We have to be relentless. We have to go for it. We have to strive. We have to try. We have to fail to move forward. Boom, Michael, let's go. I'm getting on stage. I'm gonna be talking to people. I'm meeting with clients. I'm going out there. I'm going out to the public. And then, whoa, wait a second. I don't belong. Dedication isn't, oh, everything's awesome. Let's go. Let's do this thing. That's not dedication. That's easy. I'm talking about dedication is, I failed. I suck at this. I don't want to tell people my mission. I don't want to tell people my story. You got to get over that. You got to be relentless. You got to push through that. You are leaders.
What's up, everybody?
Please give a warm welcome to the founder of Esposito Professional Services, Michael Esposito.
How you feeling today? Good? Awesome. All right. Rainbows and unicorns. It's all rainbows and unicorns. So before I get into this slide, I want to get a little feel for who's out here today. I've met some people from Denver. Where's Mark at? Right over there. I got Denver. I got New Orleans. What else do we have? Who else is in the room? Shout it out. What I hear? Texas.
New York.
Well, we're going to get to New York. Where? Georgia, Florida, Texas. Anything over on this side? Anybody? You all came together? Oklahoma, Minnesota, Ohio, Michigan, Connecticut. What'd you say? Kansas. I heard Kentucky. Illinois. That threw me off when I was trying to get my time zones right, Jason, when I was getting here. Man, we got all, my daughters and I, we played a state game in the car, get all the license plates on, when we're driving. So I'm gonna go back with some states today. This is awesome. What you're looking at here is the Hudson Valley, New York. That's where I live. I was born and raised in Queens, and our little New Yorkers over here, that's my parents. They actually are visiting family in Fort Wayne and were able to make it here. Let's give them a round of applause being here today, listening to all this insurance talk just to see their son up here. So this is the Hudson Valley, New York that you're looking at. And this view that you're looking at, it's not always rainbows, but I thought it'd be beautiful for this slide. This view that you're looking at is the view right outside my front door. Oh, all right. That's the view right outside my front door. And this view right here brings me back. Now, it brings me back home, of course, because that's where I live. But in 2016, I was sitting on my couch looking at this view when I got fired. I got fired for the last time in 2016. And as I sat looking out my window at this beautiful Hudson Valley, sitting between the Mid-Hudson Bridge and the Walkway Bridge, which they say is the longest pedestrian bridge in the world. I had to start rethinking about who I was. Who am I? And who did I want to become? I had to start assessing my values and my beliefs and make a decision for my future. I had to start communicating what it was that I wanted for myself. So as I sat there with my laptop in my lap, I started Googling careers. I started Googling industries that would set me on my path, that would hold my values intact of family first, that would offer me the opportunity to be an entrepreneur, and that would generate revenue and an income stream that could support my family. And that's what I landed on: insurance professional. Many of you here are insurance professionals, yes? Didn't we kind of have the same goals in mind? But before I could live into my dream, I had to change. I was an ambitious salesman. I was going after it. I was cold calling, knocking on doors, doing all the things that us salespeople do. But if I wanted to be an entrepreneur, if I wanted to change who I was, I'd have to transform into the leader. I'd have to learn new ways, new skills in order to become the leader I wanted to be. I'd have to start communicating that to my friends, my family, and more importantly, myself. In order for me to adopt my vision into my family and into my life, I have to communicate that clearly to everyone. I'd have to start living it by implementing it in my life. And that's when I would gain the support of my family. Sorry, I hit the slide too quick. And that's when I gained the support of my family. But what I realized in that moment, and you all just got a little preview to it, was what got me there as the ambitious salesman, dreaming about being a leader, wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be. Because what got you here won't get you there. Marshall Goldsmith works with executives, Fortune 500 companies. And this is a statement that comes right from him. What got you here won't get you there. The person you are today is not going to get you to where you want to be. You have to start changing, and you have to have a clear vision for where you want to go. I'm going to take a step back here because you're all at this Indie Tech conference to implement new things into your business. So some of what I'm saying is preaching to the choir. You already know where you want to go. So where is it? Where do you want to go? Where are you right now? Take a moment. Take a moment right now. Think about it. And where is it that you're going? Where is it that you want to take your agency to? I'm going to help you implement some of the ideas that are coming to your mind right now. But before we do that, we're going to take a little journey. We're going to understand our industry a little bit better. We're going to understand that the technologies of the past are not going to get us into the future. Now, change is very uncomfortable. And I've been walking around in the back there, and I see many of you are very comfortable in your seats. If you read that definition, you don't need to, but change is not comfortable. And so I'm going to ask you all, if you believe that change is possible, put your phones down, get off your laptops, quit your conversation, and I'm going to ask you to play along with me for a second. I'm going to ask you to get up out of your seats if you believe change is possible. Do you believe change is possible in your agency and in your vision? That's right, get up out of your seat. Let's go Florida. Let's go Kansas. Let's go Kentucky. Let's go. Is change possible? Yeah, we get those applause going. Let's go Connecticut. Yes. So if change is possible, then this is what I'm asking all of you to do. You got a good read on what it says? I want you to burst into your boss's office or your team's conference room, and I want you to shout this. What got us here won't get us there. Say it with me. Go ahead. What got us here All right, that was weak. I felt like I was at church. Let's get it like we're at a conference. What got us here will get us there. Thank you. And listen, before you sit down, make sure you shake the person's hand next to you, get their business card in case you need a lifeline after you say that. Grab a seat, everyone. Give yourselves a round. Could I just get a feel of the room here? How many agency owners do we have? Just raise your hands up nice and high for me. Agency owners. Wow. Awesome. Awesome. And what about our team leads, our team managers, presidents, CSRs, anybody else supporting our agencies? Awesome. Yeah, put your hand up high. Yeah. Come on, let's give these people a round as well. They're helping our agency owners succeed today. Awesome. And this question applies to all of you here. Let me know if this resonates with you. One of my biggest challenges is getting my boss or my team to buy into my ideas. Not the only challenge, everyone. Keep your hand up for me. Let me see it. Not the only challenge. One of to buy into my ideas. Awesome. Some of you are shy, not putting your hands up because your team members are here or your boss is here, but I know it's true for you. I'm glad this resonates with most of you. It's going to be the foundation for my talk today. I promise you we're going to get to my framework, but before that, let's understand why we're stuck. In 1948, Edwin Land invented the Polaroid camera, and he revolutionized the industry. He changed the game. He came in with the peel-away film when people were in labs trying to develop film. He soon moved into, obviously, what we know today, the instant picture that we get. By 1976, Polaroid was valued at just under $1 billion. For some context, the price of gas was 56 cents. How many of you remember when it was 56 cents? Don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. I don't want to see it. Right? But then in 2001, the company crumbled. So what happened? Where did this genius go wrong? Here's what happened. You see, what happens as innovators, as disruptors, as all of you are, is we get comfortable. We have this great invention. Edwin Land had this great invention, and he got comfortable, and he started getting safe. He got so safe that at a certain point, when people were knocking on his door saying, hey, the industry's changing, we gotta change, he went off and built an entire floor in the corporate headquarters where no one was permitted unless they agreed with him. No outsiders, no new technologies, no disruptors. He isolated himself from everything. So much so that in the 1980s, when the founder of Sony came to him and said, hey, we got a digital revolution happening outside. Are you in on it with me? Do you want to collaborate with us? He literally laughed at the idea. How many times in our industry do we see this? Where we're laughing at the idea. Where we're like, you got to get a fax machine. When I started my agency, they said, you got to get a fax machine. And when I started my agency, so I don't have to have a fax machine. Are you nuts? Listen, as Bob Dylan said, times they are changing. And that includes our industry. Times are changing. We're experiencing it as we are sitting right here today. It's changed over the last 5 years, the last year, and the last 6 months, and it's not changing. And if you're not prepared for the next decade, you're going to be left in the dust. We have to start thinking differently. We have to start thinking like companies like Apple and Tesla and Facebook. I bring these companies up because they are at their peak. They are the best at what they do. They have the opportunity to stay complacent. They're making boatloads of money. They can stay right where they are, but they're changing the game. Apple went from a computer company to a communications company, changing the way that we communicate. How many Apple Watches are in the room today, right? Everything we have is like Apple related today. Tesla has gone on from an electric vehicle company to now powering office buildings. This was just supposed to be an electric car, and he could have stayed doing that. But now they're powering office buildings. And Facebook has gone from the two-dimensional world where we're just typing, posting pictures, to entering the metaverse, where now 3D interaction is available to all of us. We could be in Indianapolis right now at a conference while having coffee in a virtual cafe with a friend in Europe. How cool is that? It's pretty cool. But that's because they're taking risks. They're doing things against the status quo. When Mark Zuckerberg comes up with an idea of let's create a 3D universe, people are going, why? That's nuts, man. Because if he stays complacent, he's going to end up like Edwin Land, the founder of Polaroid. If we stay complacent, we're going to end up like the agencies of the past. Or we're going to lose our team members to look for the agencies that are trying to go towards the future. We can't stay complacent. I'm talking about taking a risk here, and I want to share with you that I'm not crazy. I'm talking about taking a calculated risk. In not staying complacent, it's unsafe, it's risky, and that's what skiing is. Skiing is unsafe and risky, and yet some of us do it. How many skiers do I have in the room? How many? Oh, nice. And what about Florida? Florida? No, surfing. Surfing, water skiing, jet skiing, something fun on the water, right? So I got a couple skiers here. What you're looking at is a picture of Lake Placid, New York, where the Olympic Games took place in the 1980s. I don't have the right date on that. My daughter is in the pink there, and what you see is a calculated risk. What we did here was we put her on skis to slide down a mountain, and she doesn't have brakes. But we did 3 things in order to make it safer for her. The first was we got her the proper gear. Think of your software companies that are here today. We got her the proper gear, the pants to keep her warm, the helmet to keep her safe. We got her the resources. That's the instructor there helping the other kid down that fell. We're going to talk about that in a second. We got her the resources. That's all the coaches, the consultants, the guides that are here today, the people that are coming on these stages or that are in the rooms that you're going to be visiting today. So we got her the resources. And probably one of the most important things we did, because you could have the gear, the software, you could have the resources, the instructors, the teachers, but we plotted out a vision for her. I'm not talking about her college. I'm talking about a vision. A vision for her. We looked at the map. It's real simple. The trail map. And we said, you're going to go on that little easy one right there. A to B. We plotted out a vision for her. It's a small vision, but she's not going on Hawkeye, the double diamond over there. She's just going on the small one, right? And us as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as disruptors, we have to map out our vision. So I'm not asking you to take a crazy risk. I'm just asking you to take a calculated risk. How many of you want to take a calculated risk? I gotta wake you up. If you're with me and you weren't ready to take a calculated risk, let me hear you say, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We gotta wake up here. Let's go. Now, talking about calculated risks, ironically for me, yes, that was me. I liked it better when I had black hair and it was filling up my front ear, but anyway, that was me. I'm here talking to you all about taking a calculated risk, and I'm going to talk more about risk. But here's the irony. How many of you are familiar with New York Life? Right? My very first job interview out of college was with New York Life. And for those of you who raise your hands, you know that New York Life doesn't offer a salary and benefits. And for those of you who don't, now you do. So it doesn't offer a salary and benefits. So it was great. Went through 3 job interviews with the hiring manager. He was ready to go. But I wasn't. I was scared. I was confused. To add a little more of a twist to this, and as insurance professionals, you'll understand this question. The hiring manager asked me, what do you want out of your career? What do you want out of life? And I said, I want to open a pizza shop. Today, we would call that an entrepreneur. Back then, I didn't know what it was called, right? But he was looking for that. That was a great quality. I want to open a pizza shop. You're a self-motivator. You want to do something. You want to disrupt an industry, right? But I didn't take his job. And I didn't open up a pizza shop. In fact, I job hopped for almost 15 years, searching for happiness, looking for safety. What I learned in those 15 years of going from different marketing company to another was that safety does not buy happiness. We're taking notes here. Safety does not buy happiness. We got to take a calculated risk. We got to think about where we're going. And we got to go for it. We got to implement that new tech in our agency. Your office manager is waiting for it. They don't know that yet. We're going to get to that in a second in terms of mindsets. But we got to take those risks. Calculated. So soon, back to my insurance journey, when I entered the industry, I had a dream to open up my agency. But before I had that dream, I dreamed of earning 6 figures. I dreamed of it. I was like, I gotta earn 6 figures. I had my Brian Tracy tapes going. Brian Tracy is telling me all about, write it on all your sheets of paper. If you open up all my notebooks, every notebook I had from back then said 100K, 100K, 100K. I was gonna make $100,000. But I entered the industry and I earned less than $10,000 a year for 3 years straight. The self-motivator, the guy, the hustler and everything, for 3 years straight. I was banging my head against a wall. I didn't understand. I thought it was because I didn't know the industry, I was learning it, I just got licensed, I'm trying to sell a different way than what I was doing when I was selling marketing. I thought it was everything about me and the way I was doing it. Until one day, I started thinking about it more. And I was working on these weaknesses. I'm working on all of this coverage. Learn about coverage because this is what I need to understand. That wasn't it. It was my mindset. I wasn't willing to take a risk. I wasn't willing to go after the big deals. I wasn't willing to pick up the phone and call one more person. I wasn't willing to go after it at that moment. I had to reassess everything about me to change. I had to start taking a risk. I had to start thinking differently. I'm telling you, mindsets matter because the way we view ourselves, the thoughts that we have about ourselves are what holds us back. And we do the same thing in our agencies, and we do the same thing with our team members, and we even do the same thing with our family members. Family's a part of this, right? Because when we started insurance agencies, we want that lifestyle agency, right? We want to open at 9, end at 5, get our agents, our VA, right, to help answer the phones and do some COIs for us on the off hours, right? Isn't that true? How many of us want to get home to the kids, get home to the spouse, go have fun? Raise your hands for me. Come on. I know we got family in the room, right? Mindsets matter. It's not just about your agency. It's about your family too. I get it, everyone. You see this, right? I get it. I'm talking to a bunch of risk managers. That's what we are, right? Risk managers. And I'm saying, take a risk, take a calculated risk. But I get it. At my insurance agency a few weeks back, this slide right here is fairly new because a few weeks back, I had a prospect come across my desk and they do transportation for celebrities. And I was like, ooh, that's really cool. Who do I get to meet if I get you, right? And as I started scrolling through their website, they literally had a tank on their website. They didn't have this tank, but they had a tank on their website. That was a hard pass for us. It was like, yeah, we are not taking that risk. So realize that when I'm talking about risk, I understand and appreciate the seats that you're all sitting in. I truly do. When I changed my mindset and I started adopting a new way of doing things and I started viewing myself differently, that's when I hired a coach. That's when I joined Toastmasters, entered my chamber, and started engulfing myself with people who can help me get away from the old ways of doing things. It's when I started embracing the technologies that were available to me at the time, such as email sequences, and how about video? How many agency owners and agencies are using video today? Raise your hand if you're using video. Very few, right? I know this is somewhat of a shy crowd, but very few of you. I started using video back in 2018. And I had to do this because it was the only way I could get my message across to my community without being the regular old salesman at every single chamber meeting. So I started learning about the coverages and started sharing it through story. I started making it resonate with the people that are following me on social media or who I wanted to follow me on social media. And it was through my Quick Tip Tuesdays where I would get on camera and I would share a quick tip about insurance coverage, share a story about a client I might have helped, that I got noticed. It was with my Quick Tip Tuesdays that one of the largest brokers in the country recruited me. I still remember that call. It changed my life in that moment. In that moment, I was offered that 6-figure salary that Brian Tracy promised me 3 years ago. In that moment, I 10x'd my life. I didn't 10x my life by playing it safe. I got uncomfortable. I got behind camera, and if you go to my YouTube channel, my very first video is there, and it is not this person that's on stage today. I got uncomfortable. I had to learn how to speak. You all need to learn how to speak. It's crazy, right? We think we know how until you get up here. So I joined Toastmasters. I started working on this skill. I started changing the way I did things. Every single one of you here is capable of change. I'm going to put a little bet on this. Every single one of you here is here for either one of 3 reasons or all 3. The first is you want to learn about the disruptors in our industry. You want to learn about the new technology, the new legal requirements, maybe the new way to process payments. The second, you want to advance your career. You want to network with like-minded individuals, with people who might be able to get you in a different space or get you in a different headspace. And the third, you had nothing better to do. And so you showed up at an insurance conference in Indianapolis. If the first is true, raise your hand. If the first is true, raise your hand and keep them up if the second is true. If the second is true, keep them up. And what if all 3 are true? If all 3 are true, all right. Well, we'll get some tickets to some Pacers games for some of you. I'm a basketball fan. I couldn't put the Colts up there. I had to put the Indiana Pacers up. Even though I'm from New York, I still respect the Indiana Pacers. Now that you understand that change is possible, and every single one of you obviously know that change is possible, here are 2 mindsets that you're going to encounter. When implementing new technologies and new ideas into your agency, you are going to encounter these 2 mindsets. There's no judgment on either one of these. We all experience both of them. Some of us were in a fixed mindset when we woke up this morning. We're like, I gotta get to this insurance conference. So for those of you who don't know what these 2 mindsets are, we have the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, both coined by Carol Dweck. And in her research, what she found was in these 2 mindsets, the fixed mindset, these are the people, you know who they are, who believe change is not possible, who view failure as a setback, who never try and only stick to the things they know because it is safe. Because it's safe. Then we have our people in the growth mindset. Let's go, the people in the growth mindset. The people in the growth mindset believe that change is possible. It's you people, you stood up, you said it. You're with me, right? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yes. When I coach the kids, I coach soccer and basketball. I'll put their hands in the pile and I'm like, all right, let's go. And they don't put their hands in. I'm like, I'm be here. We got the whole game. I'll be right here. So we all put our hands in. So the people in the growth mindset, they believe change is possible. How do they view failure? How do you think they view failure? It is an opportunity to learn. Failure is an opportunity to grow. We don't make it anywhere without failing. Every one of you failed. Try to walk as a baby. You had to fall. Those are our people. The growth mindset, these are our champions. These are our champions. Shout out to Jay's group, the champions. Right? These are the people that we are going to lean on when we are implementing new tech and new strategies. Our champions are the people who are going to adopt everything that you're coming from this conference with. They're going to be reading those manuals. They're going to be looking it up. They're going to be like, what's this new CRM you're bringing back to me? What's this new way and tool that we can get forms into our system easier? These are our champions. So, for today, we're going to focus on our champions. We all have our fixed mindsets in our offices. Some of us as agency owners are in it as well, and we got to change that, and we will. So there's hope for the people in the fixed mindset. There sure is. But we're going to focus on the people in the growth. So I'm all energy. I'm high energy. But I get this energy from somewhere. How many of you meditate? A couple meditators. Awesome. So I'm a meditator. And I sit quietly with my thoughts. I did it this morning. And I think about what it is I want. What do I want to bring to the table? How do I want to impact? And where am I going? And so some of you are not familiar with meditating, and that's okay. We could call this a think break. We're going to take a think break together. And if you're standing up, you're going to take a think break with us. Ryan, you're going to take a think break with us. You're all going to take a think break with us. So take a moment, put your laptops down, put your phones down for a second. Sit comfortably in your seat. Face the other way, doesn't matter. Keep your eyes open, close your eyes, doesn't matter. This is important. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Ground yourself. And I want you to visualize, where is your agency today? What are the technologies you're using? What are you implementing today? Now start seeing the people. Who are the team members? Who are the people that are part of this vision with you? Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Now I want you to think 3 years into the future. You didn't know this was going to be a time travel, but it is. 3 years into the future. Where is your agency? What's the tech that you're using? What processes are you implementing? How about the people? Have they changed? Who's with you now on the team? Who do you need to add to your team? How can you help the people that are on it grow? Take another moment. Take another deep breath. Come back to me. I'm on a clock here, people. If you'd like, take a pen out, take your phone out, whatever you want. Jot down a few ideas that came to you. I don't mind it if you do that for this next one here. I certainly want you to capture some of the things that came to mind in this moment together. It's pretty cool. See, when I talk about change, we have to change who we are in order to move forward. And we have to see it. We have to see it 3 years into the future, 5 years into the future. Who am I becoming? So it was when I started seeing myself differently, transforming from that ambitious salesman to a leader, that I started taking on the responsibility of a leader. That's when I went from just being a board member at my chamber to becoming the chair of the board, to becoming a speaker at Toastmasters, to the president of my Toastmasters, to being a basketball player in my league, to the commissioner of my league. When I saw myself differently and I painted and charted the path for my vision, I started taking on the responsibilities, and by the way, they also started introducing themselves to me. You see, there's an old prophecy, an old Chinese proverb that says, the teacher appears when the student is ready. So, the tech will appear when the agency is ready. That one's mine. In 2021, I took the risk. I took the leap. I quit that 6-figure corporate job and I started my agency. I had to do this because, as Tony Robbins says, if you're not growing, does anybody, who's my Tony Robbins people? If you're not growing, you're dying. Yes, where are you? Where's my Tony? Let's go. Let's go. Right? If you're not growing, you're dying. And if I stayed living in somebody else's dream, I'd be dying. I knew when I met with New York Life back in 2005 that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just couldn't put a pin on it, and I couldn't take the risk then. But in 2021, I was ready, and I did it. And I thought I was going to revolutionize the industry. I thought I was going to turn it on its head. I thought I was going to create an app that was going to do everything that I couldn't do. And then I realized that there's a lot of companies that can do everything I wanted. And so my tech stack was full. I had everything: Vertifor, Agency Connect, PL Rater, Glovebox, everything. It was overwhelming how many tech I had. And I learned that it was overwhelming for me because I just heard somebody had a 17 tech stack, 17 pieces of tech in theirs. That's pretty cool. That's more than mine. So my team here, while many of them loved my idea and my vision for the future, and my values of service and integrity and transparency and compassion all resonated with them, they were stuck. They were stuck in the old mindset. They were stuck doing things the old ways. I had everything for them, and I got accord forms that were filled out in pencil. I had a team member, I won't point her out, who said, "Michael, you need a fax machine." I mentioned to you earlier. She said that to me. I said, "I'm trying to make a tech company, and you're telling me I gotta get a fax machine in my office? Are you nuts?" I couldn't do that. I had to go after my dream, and I had to go after it. I had to pivot from my idea of creating this app, and I had to start investing in the technologies that were available to me. And while I had team members that were against it, I realized they were in the fixed mindset. I realized that they were not going to change. So what I learned in that experience, and what I'm hoping I'm going to impart on you right here, because this is important leading into my framework for you, is that we have to hire for culture. We have to hire for that vision that we have 3 years, 5 years down the road. We can't just hire from the same old talent pool of licensed PNC producer or CSR with 20 years plus experience. That's wonderful. But we have to hire for culture. We have to hire for culture and the experience. So now we're going to get into my framework here. And what you're looking at is the highest peak in Mexico, El Pico de Orizaba. My friend Katie and her husband Dean are going to be scaling this mountain in October of next year. And what's important for all of you to understand is that her, Dean, and their team have to have a process that is repeatable and sustainable to get them from base camp, the yellow point, to the peak, the blue point. And so what I'm going to share with you in my framework is a process that is repeatable and sustainable to get you from base camp to the peak. But then we have that red pin. Who sees the red pin? Where's my Tony Robbins people? Oh, go ahead, Connecticut. What do you think that red pin is?
You give up.
You give up. Oh, we don't give up. Fixed mindset. But I think I understand what you're saying, right? That red pin there represents three things. The first thing is we gotta rest. We have to recognize that rest is important in order for us to learn, grow, and adapt. We have to rest. The second one is we have to look back at our wins. We have to acknowledge how far we've come. We have to look down and go, man, I made it. I'm going places. And the third, that third reason for that red pin is challenge. It's failure. It's when things get hard. Maybe the backpack strap breaks or the technology crashes. But we have to keep our vision in mind. And if you're ready to keep our vision in mind and start going through my framework, let me hear let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let me hear it from the back of the room. Let's go. Back there, let me hear it. Let's go. Yeah. So the first one is communication. Sorry, it's so loud. I didn't put the speaker there. My bad. Communication. We have to communicate clearly and concisely to our team. We have to communicate confidently and with passion. And who better to show you passion?
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
Passion. We have to communicate with passion. In 1962, when JFK gave this speech at Rice University, NASA had no space program. They had a space program, but I had no plans on getting a man to the moon. They didn't have a program in place on getting a man to the moon, and JFK stands in front of everybody and says, hey, we're getting a man to the moon in the next decade. It was because of his passion and his conviction. It was because of his timeline, his vision, that NASA then started creating it, that Americans started getting excited about it. It was because he communicated this to the world. We have to communicate with passion. So obviously we know how the story ends. By the end of the decade, it happened. A custodian at NASA was famously quoted saying, I'm not mopping floors, I'm getting a man to the moon. How do we get our team members to feel the way that custodian felt? He said, I'm not mopping floors, I'm getting a man to the moon. So here are 3 ways to deepen the bonds of communication with your team. 1, you need to know your why. Chris Klein just told you this. You need to know your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you passionate about it? Why is this new tech going to help our agency and make your job easier? You need to paint a picture for them. They need to see it, feel it, and understand it. It needs to be real for them. Run them through the demo. Don't sit in the conference room with your partner and watch the demo and have them. Bring the team in. Have them a part of this demo. Have them check it out with you. And the third one, it's got to come from you. You're the leader. This is your idea. It can't go through an email or a memo. It can't go through middle management. It has to come from you. One-to-one meetings, team meetings, huddles. I don't care how you do it, but you must verbalize it. It must come from you. The second one, adoption. This is where your team starts buying into your idea. And this is where mindsets are important. Remember our fixed and our growth mindset. This is where we have to identify the team members that are in the fixed and the team members that are in the growth. The team members that are in the growth mindset are going to be easy to adapt to the new technologies. They're going to be willing to try and fail. The ones in the fixed mindset have some things that need to work through. One of them could be that their experiences in the past, when they tried and failed, they got taken off the project or they got fired. So you need to alleviate them of that. And you will in my next part of the framework. So there's hope for the people in the fixed mindset, and I'm going to share a quick story with all of you. Jim Prey is a producer who is 70 years old. And when he came and joined my agency, I actually purchased his book of business. Now, he was bought into my idea. He loved everything I had to do, But the problem was that when I bought his book of business, he handed it to me in a manila envelope. He had no tech stack, and he was not interested in mine. However, as I started sharing with him, as I started bringing him in on the technology, he started understanding it. He started asking me to do screen shares with him. And through patience and repetition, patience and repetition, this is what we have to embed in our head as agency owners. Patience and repetition. He soon got it. He soon started understanding the technologies. He's 70 years old. There's no excuse for our 40, 50, 60-year-old office managers, producers, CSRs, agency owners to not be able to make this change. This man had no desire to change. But we took the time together to work on it. And I brought him in. The next part of the adoption phase is collaboration. I asked him, what do you think of it? What do you think about this other technology? I remember having a long conversation with him about Canopy Connect, how it would make things easier for us, how it would work. But Jim, I won't pull the trigger unless you're on board, I said. He had to be on board. I didn't say, Jim, I'm doing it and you're gonna learn it. I said, Jim, I need you to be a part of this with me. So we have to collaborate with our team members. Third one, implementation. In order to implement anything, we got to understand the numbers. How many KPIers out there? It's all about the KPIs? Yeah, we got some KPIs in the room. It is about the numbers. It is. However, when we're implementing new technologies and new ideas in our agencies, I want you to track the numbers not as the middle managers that we've been taught to be, but as a scientist. Think like a scientist in this moment. The numbers are indicators. The numbers are letting us know whether this technology is working in our agency or not. If it's the team member or it's your vision. The numbers help guide us along the path. It's not when we get stuck in middle management, tracking our charts and numbers. We have to remove judgment. We have to remove judgment from these numbers and recognize that we're implementing something new and that we have to change the way that we're thinking. We have to think like a coach. We have to think like a coach, fine-tuning each player on our team for success. A coach understands that failure is part of the game. A coach understands that we're going to lose some along the way. But the big picture, your vision, the big picture is what we're going for. And understanding it and coaching our team through that. Being by their side, helping them understand the challenges, working through it with them. That's how we get their buy-in, people. We're disruptors here. The fax machine was once the most efficient, effective way of transforming forms to other offices. But it took disruptors like you, people like you, to adopt new technology, to bring it into your agencies, to implement it in your agencies, to change the way we did business, to change the idea of the fax machine as just an example, but all the other relics of the past, and start embracing new technology. It's up to you. Every single one of you here who's in the seats, who's walking around back there, who's going to check out a booth later, it is up to you to get rid of the relics of the past and start embracing the new. And the only way you do it is with support. You've got to support your team. You see, we're talking about implementing new technologies. We're talking about mindsets. We're talking about how hard and challenging it is. And most of the reason why our team members are not always bought in is because they don't know that we have their back. So how do we provide support? Well, I've had the joy of raising my daughters, Denise and Tenley. And I remember vividly when they both were learning how to walk. crawling on our living room floor and rolling over. And so what my wife and I would do was we would sit on the floor with them, with our arms and our legs stretched out, and we would provide what's called scaffolding. I'm sure we're all familiar with scaffolding. We would provide scaffolding as parents. We did this because we wanted to encourage growth and development, allow her to get up on her own and walk on her own, but with the safety and security that mom and dad are there to catch her when she falls. Pick her up and set her on her butt safely.
I'm the one who hit your head. Whoa!
One day when she started walking on her own and we took the scaffolding off, my wife was in another room and an important call came in for me. And that was the moment that Denise decided, hey, I'm gonna run head first into the sharpest corner in the kitchen and I'm gonna slam my head into it. I'm sure she wasn't thinking all that, but that's the way it felt. Blood gushed out of her head and she screamed the loudest we'd ever heard her scream before. My wife and I, as new parents, we panicked, we jumped in the car and rushed to the emergency room. I went to the front desk. This is no exaggeration, this is straight up real. I went to the front desk and said, we need a plastic surgeon or a helicopter ride to New York City, one or the other. Yes, right? They calmed me down. Took some meditation. They calmed me down. And the doctor came to me and said, hey, Michael, we're going to put a Band-Aid on it. It doesn't even need a stitch, man. See, when we're supporting our team and we're implementing new ideas, we have to see the problem for what it is. We can't blow it up out of proportion. We have to meet our team members where they are and apply the proper solution. Apply the proper medication in this case. It's not a quarter-setting failure. If the system crashes, it crashed. If we lost the client, we lost the client. But what's more important? The client or the team? Sometimes the client, but the team. What's important is that our team knows we're there for them and that we're going to support them. And we have to meet them where they are when we're implementing these new ideas into our agencies. We're changing the way that they do business. We're changing everything for them. We're making their jobs hard by implementing this. The least we can do is support them through this challenge. Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook says that feedback is another crucial component to support. We have to be open to receiving feedback often from our team. We have to be open to receive the feedback and not place judgment on it. Receive the feedback for what it is. Accept it to help us get closer to our vision. And if it doesn't help us get closer to our vision, then just leave it on the table. It's not gonna hurt you. Receive the feedback. Oh, okay, is that what you think? Fantastic. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Have a wonderful day. Acknowledge and move on. But the feedback is crucial to the success of our organizations because they are on the front lines. The people that are walking into our offices telling us whether something works or doesn't, they are on the front lines, and we need to hear it. If we tune them out, if we don't listen, if we walk around with an ego and say, you can't talk to me, well then we're not gonna know what's working and what's not. We're gonna find out through the numbers, but we won't know real time. If you wanna know real time, open the door, have the Zooms, get in front of your team and ask them, tell me, unload, let's go. In order to implement anything, we gotta take action. We gotta move into our vision. So before I conclude here, as a recap for all of you taking notes, communication is one, adoption, implementation, and support. And so we move into taking action. As leaders here today, as agency owners, as team members, you have to take action on this vision. It will not happen for you. You gotta take that risk. You gotta take that risk, that calculated risk. But you gotta take it. And you gotta move forward. I have a community called Action Takers. Starting with Take Action, they are action takers. And every one of you are action takers. Every one of you are here because you're action takers. So you gotta break the scaffolding and rocket ship you to the moon. You gotta move. You gotta take action on your vision. You'll do it through those 4 processes that I shared with you. As leaders, trailblazers, and disruptors, it is our responsibility to guide our team through the challenges that are bound to appear, with the idea that every single one of them can become a leader too. With the idea that one day they soon will adopt the technology, they soon will implement it into their lives, and you'll be there to support them. I want to help every single one of you communicate your vision clearly. So if you'd like, after this, there's plenty of panels going on and conference rooms going on, but I'm doing a communication course in room 240, and you're welcome to join me because I want to help you communicate clearly. It's one of the first steps, and it's crucial. We have to change the way we do business. We have to change the way we do business with the technology we use. We have to change the way we do business with the way we think. We must think differently. We must support our team in the challenges. And we must have a vision for our future. Because what got us here won't get us there.
Dude, absolutely crushed today. Brought the energy, pacing, tone, delivery, content, had everyone going. You know, as a speaker myself, I tend to watch the audience fully engaged. Awesome job, dude. I can't wait to see you work again. Proud of the thing you're doing because, man, you crushed. Rising star right here. Book this guy right now.